Oh, yes, I do. I owe you so much. And I want to start this beautiful training out by apologizing to our mastery community because I didn't realize the amount of role play, nuance, dance that we really need to engage in to become more masterful in something that, sometimes when you learn something, you become masterful at it and you just assume people have certain parts to their competencies, their knowledge, their wisdom. And I realized that there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And I'm hoping today will help with this. There's a lot more emotional connection that needs to be made of why this part is critically important as part of a flow to truly grow your business. Now, this applies not only to a lot of the thought leaders that are in our mastery community, this applies to business owners who just start, like in a service business, plumbers. I've worked with all kinds of service businesses over the years. Plumbers, electricians, air conditioning. It's a critical fundamental of the process of sales, even though a lot of us don't like that word sales. So I wanted you to think about this, and I think Lucas shared this, and it was from, I can't think of the mentor, but replace the word sale with help. So in your mind, as we think about sales, it's just helping people masterfully, not selling people masterfully. Does that make sense? That's sort of an arc for this. Sometimes it helps because a lot of people are like, I don't want to sell, I hate selling, and those kind of things. So we'll really, really try to deliver for you. I think the mastery here for you is going to be in role plays. And I only know that because we've been role playing with some of our members, our mastery community members, and it's taken, it's not just a 1 hour thing. It's like we're in 4 sessions with some of them, really trying to get the dance. And they're still at the point where they have to practice. They have to stand in the mirror and practice and add the questions and the language that really move the needle, if this is important to you, for converting sales. And so many people right now are hurting financially just because of the way life showed up. A few of our mastery community members have shared this. I've got to make this work. Now's go time. I've got a limited number of days left before I've got to find another option, these kind of things. So this goes out to you if you're feeling that. In the big picture though, this goes out to everybody who really wants to just learn a skill that will help them for the rest of their lives, for the livelihood of themselves, their families, the fun of and the freedom that we always talk through. All these things come from getting masterful with this skill. And when we distinctly break it down, the arc of where this skill is most heavily applied is in the almighty discovery call. Now, it doesn't have to be a call per se. It can be a Zoom session. Like, it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be a Zoom session. It can be a meeting with somebody. It can be after you may have provided a workshop. It can be a standing in the hallway kind of thing. This kind of thing. So what I'm really hoping as we think about this as the hub of today's work, the discovery call, what's the information and the behaviors you need, the sort of information you need and the behavior mindset you need going into this call so that you get the outcome that you're hoping to achieve. Does that make sense? And I want to just measure the outcome through the ALSD bullseye. If you haven't seen that work, that's my bullseye where we got awareness on the outer ring. The next ringing is leads. So we do awareness work. We may go out and speak. We may go out and share on social. We may do live casts. We may do whatever to just let people know, hey, we're here and this is how we can help you. And remember, help versus sell. And then if you're interested, please give me an email address or fill out this application so that I have an idea of how you need help, right? But the application, the precursor to the discovery call, is everything for giving you the information you need from their language to help you facilitate for them growth. And sometimes they may say they want it, but when it comes down to it, they don't. So there's a part of this dance we have to ignite their why. We have to ignite why they want it. And the discovery call application that we've defined, and I think I'll bring up Lucas in mine. If not, I'll do it as a cutaway for us because this training is going to be probably lengthy. So I'll do it as a cutaway in post where you'll see the application, have a link to go review it. So you can pull those questions, make them your own. And it's not a lot of work to make up your own. There's only a few of them. But it's really critical you have that language so that we can really leverage it and that you've helped them pre-sell themselves on you. They've told you why you. Like they said in their answer to you, the reason I need your help is, and they've said this is what you have as a superpower in a sort of speak, that they need to move things forward. Is that helpful? I hope this is kind of pre-framing a little bit for you. So everything we do in our work, in business and in health, wealth and happiness, starts with bigger perspective. And that's the 5 Ps. To feel, and I'm going to kind of split through these pretty quickly, but I really want to use these as a sort of foundation for what we're going to do in our work today. I mean, we use it in our foundation for the work we do every day. And by the way, it's in the foundation for my Discovery Call application that Lucas and I made for Internet Services Group, as we're going to scale with Internet Services Group this year. 2023 is scale year. And we're going to give that a go, which was 2022, or 2012 and 2013 was scale year. And then the whole thing about scale, going out speaking, doing all this work, we've kept customers through the last decade, and we're still profitable without doing much in the world of sales. We do referrals, of course, but not new sales, like go out and pound the pavement, those kind of things. So this works very well. The discovery call process I'm going to go over, and I'm going to give you tons of illustration on it, is exactly how I convert incredibly high sales when I'm in launch mode. Launch mode is where we're recruiting people and meeting with people, usually 3 to 5, sometimes 8 a day. I usually reserve Tuesdays for that and half of Thursdays for those kinds of days when we're in launch mode, where I just plow through. Monday night, Tuesday morning, I'm practicing, just getting back in the swing of things. So this training is going to help me too, because it's really about getting that top of mind, so to speak, as we go into that world. The 5 Ps, purpose. How purposeful is what you have to offer to others? We're going to keep in the context for today's work. Passion, how emotionally engaged and enthused, energized are you about that? And this is a big one. I can tell you right now that if you don't have the energy and just the solid belief that what you have is going to really help them, it's going to hinder you in the discovery call process. And I'll show you how when we get into that illustration. How positive, bring in the joy, the energy for this. Are you in it to win it? Have you got your rest? Have you got hydration? Have you been eating nutrient rich? Have you been exercising? So that you look vibrant and ready to help. Hope this face is kind of framing it for you a little bit. Productive. How productive are you? How are you doing at scheduling discovery calls? If you're in launch mode, there should be 5 to 10 discovery calls on your calendar every week. And I'm going to kind of walk through that, and there's different models for this. We're using an intimacy model. We'll talk about that, as opposed to a mass model, but I'll show you how they interconnect in just a moment. And then finally, profitable. Everything we're doing in today's training is to lead to more profitability for you. The freedom to create more freedom for you, to do the things you want to do, to serve in the ways you want to serve, to maybe reinvest in the business like Jimmy, Mr. Beast does. All the money he makes, and now it's in the millions per month, goes right back into the business to grow and really, really promote helping people feel happier. And the ways he's doing it across his channels is absolutely amazing. I'll link to Mr. Beast's channels, the philanthropic channel and his main channel, and then some of his other ones, Reacts and stuff like this. Just so you have a frame of when somebody gets the discovery call, and he may not coin it that, but the idea of really hearing what people need and then delivering and providing value, boom. It's like a co-creative dance. And we'll talk about how that rolls out. But profit comes. Cool? That's the 5 Ps. Let's draw them in. As I'm drawing them in, I would love for you to rate yourself. How purposeful do I feel with what I'm offering the world, with my solutions, with my offers, with what I'm proposing to people that I can do to help them? How passionate do I feel about it? How positive do I feel about it? Am I behaviorally doing the things to move things forward? Am I facilitating for discovery calls? Am I having, we'll just say, 1 to 3 a week already? How am I going to amplify them? How am I going to increase conversion on them? All these pieces. I'm going to try to keep this super simple for you. So that's the perspective part of our work today. Let's dive into the training and make sure we really own this for you. There may be supplemental training on this. We'll see how we do today. We'll see how we do in role plays. We'll see what happens. As you know, we're here. I'm here for you for check-in calls. I'm here for you for Zoom roundtables. I'm willing to do a dedicated workshop to role play. Whatever it takes for you to get masterful here, this is the gate opener for that next level of just serve, take care of, and most importantly, take care of you and your family first, to be able to have the sustenance the savings for the future, the cushion, these kind of things. Is that helpful? Training. First thing, the context. We're talking about an intimacy model. If I can spell intimacy. And then eventually, if you want to, you can convert it to more of a mass model. So many people in our work, Patrick and I talk a lot about that, intimacy versus mass model. Intimacy model is where we do discovery calls one-on-one with people. And once we gain momentum through that, and a really important distinction I want you to write down, is in the language that they share with you in the application, which we'll cover in a minute, in the language that they share with you in the discovery call. That's why I record all my calls. If one was off the charts in terms of their language, sometimes I transcribe it, most of the time I take notes from memory, because that language that they use, the struggle language, the reason why I'm the one that can help them, this is all incredibly important for a landing page that you can use in the mass model. So what's the difference between intimacy and mass? Intimacy is where we're reaching out one-on-one, or we're going to a workshop, providing a live training, whatever that would be, and our focus is to bring people into an application and then into a call one-to-one. That is not scalable massively. You feel what I'm saying? A mass model is where we skip the discovery call, but the language is so good on our landing pages and in our sequencing that essentially the discovery call essence is felt through their journey in the landing page. And what I mean by that is they're feeling heard. They're feeling this person gets me. They also spark need. Oh my gosh, they know what I need and they got a plan for me. And all I gotta do is this. And there's social proof and testimonial, meaning the intimacy people. You've captured testimonials from them that you've helped. And you've got, like, I like it when it's like truly authentic. Text messages, screenshotted. We've got emails part screenshotted. We've got like tweets screenshotted. We've got audio recordings that people have given us permission to share. We've got videos of them saying, Char, you crushed it for me. All these kind of things. I've got all that in my testimonial arsenal. So the concept though is that for what we're doing right now is we're sticking to the intimacy model. If you have a desire in the future to scale, you're going to want to take great notes on the language that they've shared in their application, in those calls, because that's the perfect fuel for a landing page or a sales page in the future. You're also going to want to grab their testimonials. So if you can get, let's just say 10 customers who actually buy out of maybe 30 meetings you have in terms of the discovery calls, and then you get testimonials from them, you just start building your mass model landing page. Does that make sense? If you have a question with this, please let me know, and we'll break this down even further, and that might be another training or a supplemental training to this. So I just want to set the context here. We're in the intimacy model business. And that means when we go over here to the flow, in our awareness gen work, like Karen in our mastery community, she's out speaking and doing workshops. Her awareness generation is through speaking to people. Inside that speaking, we recognize there was a few things she needs to add to say with heart that will get people into a discovery call, excuse me, that will get people into maybe her program. Does that all make sense? So we really have to think about, okay, what are we doing in the world to promote this? And how are we igniting people's emotion so that they will go through and say, yeah, I do want to talk to you. Okay. And before we talk, could you fill out this quick form so that I have an idea of how I might be able to serve you? And I'll do a little work on the front end so that we get in our call. It's really pertinent and potent for what you need. Like that's the application part. So let me walk through the flow, then we'll expand on it, and then we'll come back to the sort of training state, the training framework. The flow starts with an awareness generator. And what we're aiming for the awareness generator is we're sparking people's interests. That's why it's the spark int. And we're trying to help them create a need, not a want. Oh, it'd be great to have that, not that. But oh my gosh, I have to have that, or I have to meet with that person. This is really critical to me moving things forward in my life or in my business or wherever. So you sense the awareness generation. Some people on TikTok are crushing this. And they'll share things like, if you really want to know ChatGPT, you've got to become a prompt engineer. And here's an example of one, but I've got a whole host of other prompts that will really help you move forward with how this can save time, energy, resource, and help you convert more too. And I'm like, they spark my interest, and that's a need. You feel that? So we're just trying to think about what that is for you. And if you're drawing a blank, please know you're not alone. This is something that we need to talk through. because I'm the brainstorm man. So we'll develop it, go after it, try to develop it for you. So in the awareness level, need, spark interest. Second area is now we have to send them somewhere for an opt-in. For the example I provided, he provided, I think it was 50 chat GPT prompts, get 200 for a price. The 50 were free. Get 200 for, I would want to say it was like $10. Get 1,000 for $90 and some free training. And then they like, okay, wow, okay, well, let me get the free ones and see if they're good and I'll come back for those. Does that make sense? So he's moving along the lines of the ALC bullseye. Awareness, sparked interest and need to lead, opt-in. I signed in with my email address to get the freebie, but I can upgrade. So now he has a sales flow process for that. Hey, if you like those 50, you might do an email sequence follow-up. I got the 100 and I got the 1,000. And here's the way that works. And if you get the 1,000, you get a couple bonuses. So detail-wise, I hope you're sensing how this can be articulated to fundamentals, because we have to be real clear, as we've talked about many times in our work, that we have to know what we're delivering first. We're kind of coming at it from the opposite end of the spectrum as we go through the flow. Next up is a discovery call. So the precursor to the discovery call is asking a few simple questions. I'll call them simple needle movers. The first question is, hey, what you trying to achieve? What's your goal? What's your ambition? What's your dream? 2, what's your biggest struggle in going after that dream? 3 might be, and you'll see some of this show up in ours, what, when you think about your biggest struggle, where do you need the most help to get to that dream goal? And that language is critically important because they're telling you, here's the openness, the gap between where I'm at and where I want to be. And our job is to sense whether we're the right fit for filling that gap and then help them. And then the fourth question, and again, there's all kinds of questions you can ask, but these are the critical ones, is why me? Why do you think I'm the person who can help you with this? Why would you like to work with me to move this forward for you? In that order. Now, it's mission critical that these questions are asked in that order, and that when people send those applications in, this has happened to me many times, that it's not one-liners or not applicable or whatever. I'm like, I can't possibly schedule a meeting with you or get you into my schedule until you fill these out with a couple, like more depth. Like, if this is what you're bringing to the table now, then you really need to flesh out your ideas more. Because when we get into this, it's going to be go time, and I have to know the information. And if you don't know why me, then you need to go watch. If they've already said, I need to start my business, I'll say, spend some time, 60 minutes, and go watch my starting from scratch training. So then, and I don't tell them this, and report out to me what you've learned, but then come back and answer the application. They're like, why me? Because you have got it dialed in around recurring revenue equals personal freedom, which is down here, by the way, RR equals PF. They'll tell you why it's you, but the essence of the sales conversion is whether they see you as the be-all, end-all, or sort of the be-all, end-all, to them going after and moving faster towards their dream. Does that make sense? So those questions are critical, especially in that order. You ask the question about why me last. Because by then, if they're doing the work, they're stirring the pot of their dream, what their struggles are, where they need the most help, and why you're going to help them. Does that all make sense? It's really critical. That's all the questions you got to ask. I mean, you should ask for their name. I laugh because Lucas in our original thing, he forgot to put our name, email, and phone. Oh yeah, we do want to know who they are. So name and email are mandatory. Phone is optional. Or maybe it's not optional for you, depending on how you want to continue that journey. After that application is sent, I review it deeply. I kick it back most of the time. Hey, I need more details here. I need more details here. That's critical to see and qualify whether they're a good candidate for you. If they give you crap, if they put up an excuse, they may not be as qualified to work with you. Does that make sense? No, that's all I got. You deal with it. Maybe they didn't say it exactly like that, but I'm like, that's not going to be enough. And also, I really need you to commit to this process, because if we're going to work together, you're going to have to commit to a bigger process. And this is just a sort of test to see how committed you are to this thing. Helpful? So then, and only then, hey, I got your application. It's got all the information I need. Well, let's schedule a call. It's a 30-minute discovery call. And in that call, we're going to talk this through, and we'll come up with options to move things forward for you. Does that make sense on the language that we use? And it doesn't have to be lengthy. That's basically all you need to say, and then give them some options. You could send them to Calendly, Acuity, whatever scheduling system you use. You could send them there. I do not use a scheduling system. I like the real intimate model. So I give them 3 options, like Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern might be some options. I typically do all my discovery calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I give myself a day, especially if I'm rolling through a bunch, to follow up properly, get them in the system, do proposals, whatever that takes on the Wednesdays and the Fridays. So by Friday at close, all the discovery calls are followed up with. And I also have the emails in my system tagged so that those emails that I send as follow-ups, so that I can send them again the following week. Hey, I just checking in. I hadn't heard from you. You want to get this thing scheduled or what? I'm ready for you. Let's roll. Let's get this thing moving. Does that all make sense? So we'll go into the discovery call process in more depth in just a minute. I want to come down to the offers. In the discovery call process, at some point you're going to say, I've got a few options for you. And I'll skip over the sort of psychology of the front end of the discovery call. We're going to cover that in more depth as we get into this part of the framework. But at some point, invariably, you're going to give them options. My preference is always to have subscription options. All of my programs, my coaching, our mastery community, everything, even in the internet business, is all subscription-based. It's continuity. The pre-frame of language I use is our work is a journey, not a destination. And I'm going to send you a link to pay on a monthly basis. And the day you decide you don't need us anymore, we'll just cancel that subscription. And that's my preference. Now, as you may know with my story, I built my very first business, Internet Services of Michigan, my very first big business, I had a business before that, on subscription revenue. And because of that, sold that business October 10th of 2000 and retired at 29. People who buy businesses love recurring models, even if it's thought leadership. Think it's Zig Ziglar. He passed away. His business is still rolling. Like the video, the assets, the intellectual property. Same thing with the 7 Habits with Stephen Covey. It's still growing. It's still got legs. It's still moving through time. But there's a recurrence to it, so to speak. There's an idea that we got this thought leadership and we have some plans and programs that will take you down a path. Does that make sense? Or in the side of consulting and implementation on the ISG side, internet side, we continue to do the work to generate more sales, more leads for you. And we continue to do that until you say, I'm done, or I sold my business, or I don't need you anymore. Okay, cool. We'll shut that down. So that's my preference. That doesn't have to be your preference. Typically in the work that we're doing with all the coaches and the thought leaders is that they have 3 offers, typically, sometimes more. The first offer is one-on-one. That's the highest tier offer they have. And it's a very high price because there's a very high limit on your availability. Second is group. And usually that price is a third the price of the one-on-one. Usually. Sometimes it's a fifth the price. So if you're charging, let's just say $1,000 a month, we'll keep the numbers nice and round for that. Let's charge $3,000 a month for one-on-one meeting every week. A third of that is $1,000 a month to be in a group with 3 or more people. Cool? And I hope you can see the math there. So if you have 3 people in the group, you're still meeting your $3,000 a month quota or goal. And then below that, if neither of those are what you need right now and you just want to move things forward, we have a monthly program. And my monthly program, as you know, we do training, 2nd Saturday of the month. We do high performance coaching, the 4th Wednesday of the month. And then after that, we have deep dive Zoom roundtables. And in between that, we have check-in calls and stuff that I can do to help forward things for you. Or you can reach out to me. Hey, I need you to eyeball this email. Or I need you to think about this. Or I need you to look over this thing I made. Those kind of things. That's the kind of support that I provide at the higher level. But the essence of it is one-on-one, group, and some form of monthly. And the monthly is the sort of catch-all in the offer grid. Meaning that if you can't afford one-on-one or aren't ready for that level of support and service yet, let's get into monthly. And I really challenge you, if you do a monthly program, to do training and then have Q&A or a Zoom sort of roundtable like we do after it, because they get to taste of you. And then in that time, you can do some of the psychology work that we're going to talk about in a minute. Is that helpful? So final part here is you deliver for life. And I'm going to assume, for the sake of our argument today, that you are committed like I am in our mastery community and in my business. That's why I have clients for 20-some years in my internet business. I am committed to serve for the long haul. Unconditional love, deep dive commitment, integrity, consistency, knowledge, skills, bringing newness into their realm, being on top of the tech changes with ChatGPT and stuff like that, and how it can affect business, those kind of things. I think you know that about me. So the deliverable part is on you. But for the people that I've met with in our mastery community, that's not even really an issue, because we know, especially if you're a certified high performance coach, I got a curriculum that's a year long on a weekly basis, core sessions, a charge, so on. And I'm going to bring my energy and love into it as we go through it. So at a bare minimum, that's what I'm talking about deliverably. Our job, though, before we get into a discovery call, is to have such command, clarity, energy around each of our offers. Back in February 2017, I debuted what I called the Business and Life Mastery Monthly Program, or Life and Business Mastery Monthly Program. It failed miserably because I was aiming to make a monthly program. I wasn't aiming to change people's lives. I went in and met with Brendan in Portland in his office, March of 2017, and he goes, Charly, the way you've created success in your life multiple times is you got your heart in it. Well, I don't see your heart here. He furrowed his eyebrows at me, which freaked me the freak out. I was like, oh crap, in front of people. And I'm like, uh-oh. And he said, you, between now and our next meeting, which will be in May, that was May of 2017, we met in Scottsdale, I need you to get heart in your offer. Once you have heart and passion and energy in your offer, watch out world, you already got the proficiencies. And I was like, why did I not see that? I was so in tune with the intellect of getting a monthly program, I missed on the emotion of why this is my way of living into my grandparents' legacy of service, contribution, growth, help, building competency with knowledge, wisdom, and skills for others. Feel the difference? So I would just challenge you right away. You've got to develop offers you have heart, clarity, and energy around. So that when you say words in the discovery call, like, I know I can help you, I got training already for you, and I know we can move this forward for you. Are you committed? Are you ready to go? That's how it sounds when you have heart in your offer. Not, yeah, I got a program, it's called High Performance Coaching, and yeah, but I think it will help you with, because one of our topics is clarity, and I think it might help you there, get more clear about your, would that be helpful? I mean, that's a baseline level, and that isn't that good. You feel the difference? Like, there's the, and so often people are like, but Charly, that's not me. I'm not the guy who or girl who is like, this is my thing, and I want to move it forward for you. Well, you need to make it your own, and we need to practice that. Somehow you got to get there. You've got to bring clarity and energy into this, which is our second item. Why are we doing this? Clarity, energy. Here's the thing. When you're in a discovery call and you've got the proper information and they're sharing with you, yeah, it's really important for me to move this thing forward. And you do what we call the 7 levels of why around that. So tell me why it's important for you to move that thing forward. Because I have sat on my butt for years with this entrepreneurial dream, and I don't think I have the confidence to go forward with it. Okay, well, why is it important for you now to go after your dream? Because it's time for me to overcome that confidence and so on. Why is it important for you to overcome the confidence now? And you just dive deep on each thing they say with the why and give them plenty of time to articulate. By the 5th level, they're usually getting emotional. Sometimes tears, sometimes angry. Not at you, but in general, because they haven't moved things forward. So I'm going to stop right there and ask you, in a call where you're trying to recruit business, have you gone deep on why what you're trying to get them to go after, with your help, is important to them? Have you gone deep on that? Then, have you connected that depth to how you can move that forward for them and how it's going to be a co-creative journey with them? If you are not doing those 2 things, you're leaving money on the table. It's that simple. That's why we've got to get masterful in this. You've got to ask the right questions, and you've got to sense their energy when they give you the app. Because the last thing I want you to do, and the last thing that I want to do, is spend time with somebody who's kind of got a toe in it, but they're not in it. And we call that out immediately. We call that out the moment they send that app. Nope, I'm not doing not applicable. You need to think about how this applies to your goal. And if you don't know why me, then we're not getting on a call. Let me give you some training so you can uncover the way that I can help you and make sure that you're compatible with my teaching style and coaching style before we get into this discovery call. Because I'm going to move things forward for you. But that confidence that comes from that language is because I'm so clear on the offers. Does that make sense? I'm clear on the fact I can help them, or I can't. Sometimes people will come to me and they're like, I need help on these things. And I'm like, that, great example. They come to me and they're like, I need help with this part in my past. They want high performance coaching. And I'm like, that's not our work. Our goal is that you have worked with a therapist who does work on the past and reconciling the past to, as we call in high performance, bring fondness to the past. But that's not what I'm qualified for. So I would recommend Denise, who is my go-to psychotherapist. I've used her for almost 2 decades. Or betterhelp.com to work on reconciling your past so that you can be better in your future. You see on the sense of the application and how important that is, that we're really, really deeply serious about the input of information that they provide, and we're really reading into it. If you want help, if you develop an application and you're like, Char, I don't know how to read into this, send it to me, and then we'll talk it through so that you have this sort of 7th sense or 6th sense to understand what's missing. Just the intuitive part of me, because I've been through this for so long, is going to be able to help you there. Is that helpful? So now we have the information, now we get in the call, there's a structure to the call. And the structure is to simply have them reiterate, hey, you told me this is important for your dream. Tell me why that dream. Why that goal? Why that ambition? So if you think about it through the persuasion formula, we're acknowledging what their ambition is, just a touch of it. Then we step into acknowledging their struggles, challenges, frustrations. I like to spend a little time stirring the pot there. Okay, so why has that been a struggle for you? That goes back to the 7 levels. Because I don't think I have the confidence and the knowledge to put this offer in order. Okay, so why don't you have the confidence? But more importantly, what's it going to feel like if you do put that in and you do move this thing forward? So why is it important for you? And this is where we pivot to the ambition. We go from the struggle to the ambition. Why is it important for you to really go after this? Deeply going after that 7 levels. Think of it that way. Okay, with what you've shared, I think I can help you. Would you like to learn how? I didn't say, with what you've shared, I think I got some options for you to sell. I think I got some options I can sell you. Didn't say that. I said, I think I can help you. Here's how. Would you like to hear? Notice I pause and ask. Permission. Yes. There's a whole book on psychology of buying where you've got to get people saying yes to stuff. Brendan, if you've ever been at his events, he does that. It's just like a natural thing for very advanced salespeople. And again, the sell here is to their growth. And I just want to make sure we land that for you. It isn't so you can make more money. It's so that they can grow, and you got to get connected to that. That is a byproduct of getting connected to your offers. Once you're so solidly heart-centered around your offers, like I had to reframe for, it's just a no-brainer. I know I can help you. If they say stuff that you're like, I know we can move this forward for you. Or I know I have somebody who can move this forward for you. Without a reasonable doubt, like they feel the energy, they feel the solidity in your voice and confidence and courage. All these kind of things are just coming out of you. Does that make sense? So then when you go over the offers, it's like, okay, the first thing we can do is move this forward really fast. You can grow your fastest with our one-on-one program. That's where we'll be working weekly on moving these things forward, and here's how that looks. First, we're going to create clarity. Then we're going to create energy, session 2. Then we're going to create courage. Well, that's not exactly true for the high performance because it's focus, then clarity, then energy, then courage. But I would break that down and angle into their goals. The way that wording works, just as an illustration for you, is do you feel, listen to this carefully, do you feel if you were more focused on what your specific goals were around this endeavor, like breaking down the bigger outcome that you want into specific goals, do you feel if you had more focus there and more clarity there, that would help? Yes. Awesome. That's our first 2 sessions, by the way, focus and clarity. Do you feel if you had more energy, more enthusiasm, more passion for this, that would help? Oh my gosh. I've seen it in you. This is what I've heard. I see it in you, Char. Like, I want that kind of energy. Okay, cool. That's our 3rd session. Do you feel if you had more courage to step into the fear zone and you had a tool, the courage checklist, that would help you understand what you're fearful of, loss, process, outcome, that you would really move past that and go after that ambition? Yes. Well, that's our 4th session. Are you interested in high performance coaching? That's what the sessions are. Yeah. Okay, well, I got two options for you. One is we can start immediately on one-to-one, and another one is we can do a strategy session, just so you get your foot wet, sort of in this land of high-performance coaching. So beyond the discovery call, strategy session for me, 90 minutes long, is $997. The one-on-one coaching, if you're going every other week, is like $5,000 a month now for me. If you're going every week, it's $7,500 a month. It's very, very pricey. So when I throw those kind of numbers out, most people are like, huh? What? And I'm like, yeah. So maybe you want to get into the mastery community. I don't usually say it like that. I usually say, that's the price. This is where I'm at with my proficiency and my price point of this. Okay. Well, that's out of my budget. Okay. Well, I've got group, but I've got a mastery community, which is $297 a month. And when you go from $7,500 a month to $297, they're like, let's start there, please. And you hit on the note that Brendan's always taught, as well as many other sales leaders, Jeff Walker, Frank Kern, they feel like they're getting a deal. And it sounds kind of cheesy to say that through the sales line, but the concept's pretty clear. Psychology-wise, they're like, okay, I'm in for that. And I'm good with it, because that's way better than $7,500 a month. Is that helpful? So what we're really trying to do is articulate through the lens of this discovery call. And I feel like I'm just touching the surface here, and we've got to go real deep for what your offer is and how you want to frame the application and how you want to frame the discovery call. But I hope we're shooting the arrow across the bow here pretty well. I'm going to do more illustration for you as we move through this. The bonus today is a really great illustration I just did with Karen and Lucas, actually, this week. So that said, the dance and the flow, what most people do and what you need to do, what not to do, what to do. We've illustrated that a little bit. What most people do when they get into a discovery call is it's kind of an accident. It's like, oh yeah, let's get on a call and talk through stuff. Is they over-deliver on the value. This has come up with everybody I've worked with. We over-deliver on the value. So how do you overcome over-delivering on the value in a discovery call? Well, let me give you an example. If somebody says, I have a problem with X and I need to solve for that, you give them enough value for them to see a step in the right direction, but not the entire solution. That means the discovery calls are 30 minutes or less, not an hour or two. And you have to learn to really work within the 30 minutes. The structure for my discovery calls mentally is in the first 5 minutes, I'm acknowledging their goal again with them. The next 10 minutes, we're going over, this is a 30-minute call, we're going over their struggles. I'm picking one of their struggles, if they give me a lot, and we're going to focus on that and turn it into an ambition. Then we're going to really move that forward just a little bit. And I'll use a tactic to move that ambition forward a little bit. Then in the last 5 to 10 minutes, kind of sum up what we've talked about and say, hey, I know I can help you or I can't. Would you like to learn how? And that's where we go through the offer language. Hey, the first thing we can do is a one-on-one. Okay, okay, what is the other option? The other option is we can kind of trial it on a $1,000 strategy session. Okay, that's one-on-one? Yeah. Okay, let's do that. The other option is we can go into the mastery community and get you started right away with some training. Then you can get into our Zoom roundtables and we'll do a check-in call to move this forward even more. You see where that goes? Is this kind of landing for you? But that piece. So the over-deliverance of value is where you're really working through the specific solution, which I was guilty of in the beginning too, to the point where they don't, I got enough to die. If you've done this well, which is not something you want to do, they'll say this. Well, you've given me enough to think about. I don't think I need any more help. Oops. I over-delivered value. And I didn't demonstrate the value of what they need to know enough. The next step. I didn't spark that this is only a front kind of iceberg tip to the actual iceberg of what we need to cover and go after. In that discovery call, you'll hear me say things like, I need you to know this is a journey, not a destination. Like anything, we've got to practice over time. We've got to do this work over time. Tell me why you think this is something you're committed to for the long term. Tell me why it's important for you to be committed to this for the long term. These are critical questions that get them to realize, okay, it's the precursor to them buying a subscription from you. And I really want to make sure we're clear on manipulation versus influence here. Manipulation is where you're manipulating them to buy something for your sole benefit. What you're doing is influencing them through the lens of helping them to their benefit. You just happen to benefit too. As a side effect, you're making money. of helping them progress on their goal. And sometimes they're going to tell you, oh, I don't know that I need to press my goal. Well, if it's not important to you, let's sort that out right now. And that's where the questioning of the why comes into play. So if we succinctly draw up the 30-minute outline for you, because I really want to make this tactical for you, the first part from the questionnaire is just acknowledgement of their dream and their goal, or goals, and then really having them share with you why that's important to them. So why is that goal important to you? Maybe that's a part to go through the 7 levels with. Maybe it's just a precursor. Okay, so got it. You want to go after that. Okay, so you shared a couple of the struggles, but what's the biggest struggle here that you see in the short term to getting that to move forward? So why is that such a struggle for you? And in that language, this is kind of a nuancy dance thing. I'll say, okay, so what is it that you feel you need the most help with to move that forward with? And why do you need that help? And why me? So I'm reiterating essentially what's going on in this application, but it's the word, the energy, the back and forth there. And if I determine that I can help them, which sometimes I can't, we talked about therapy versus coaching, then I'll say, hey, I know I can help you and I've got a couple things lined up. Would you like to hear about them? Yeah, okay, that'd be great. Okay, the first thing is if you want to move this forward super fast, one-on-one work. Here's what that looks like. Strategy session, or we get right into the sessions. $7,500 a month or $997 to dip our toes in the water. $7,500 a month, one-on-one coaching every week. $997 is strategy session, high performance strategy session. We go over clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence, all inside 90 minutes, and we move things forward for you. And if I do my work there, they're like, this is insanely helpful, and this has helped me big time. I need more of this. Okay. Beyond that, we'll talk at the end of that strategy session. We'll talk about other options, and that might be where I punt to share the mastery community or group options, those kinds of things. Then we wrap up the call. I usually send them a follow-up email that says, hey, here's the things you've shared. Here's your dream, reiterated from our call and their application. Here's the struggle, and the big one that you want to work on is this one. And here's how we've already started forward on that. Here's some training that you can access right now to help you move forward with that. And here's a few dates and times for us to schedule our strategy session. Go. It seems like a lot, but when you see it, it's a sentence or two. Bolded list for the trainings, a bolded list for 3 different options for time and date for this strategy session. Not the discovery call. The discovery call is the 30 minutes kind of sorting out through the lens of what we just covered. The strategy session is a very clear process, a deliverable that we're blessed as CHPCs to have. And I've used that like crazy, and it's gold, really gold, especially if you do the high performance habits part of the particular drives or the particular topics that really help them feel the change immediately. And I'll give you a quick example. Energy, we go through, we energize, and we meditate together. We meditate and then energize. How would it feel if you took 30 seconds and meditated and 30 seconds to re-energize your body every hour on the hour? And you're like, I don't know, it seems like it might be. Okay, let's try it. So for 30 seconds, which seems like nothing is a lot, we do release meditation. Release, release. Then we step and energize. We do breath scaling, or we'll do jumping jacks, or we'll move up and down with our arms up and down just to get energy back in our body. And they're like, I feel so alive. These are the things that happen. And the point I'm making is there was a value piece they felt. And that is helping in their buying decision when they decide on one-on-one coaching at a high price point, group coaching at a third of that, or mastery community, which includes group coaching, is the way we've laid it out. Is that helpful? Really critical. I hope we're delivering on this for you. The critical ingredients we've gone over, and I want to go over them one more time. And that is, first and foremost, acknowledgement of their goal. They should have put that in the application. They should be able to articulate that in the first part of your time with them. This is the discovery call ingredients for this. Second is the biggest struggles in going forward with that goal. Pivoted to what's possible. Why that goal? What do you need help with specifically to move this forward, and why me, right? Do you want help with this? Because I know I can, or I can refer you to somebody. If you know you can, do you want me to go over the options of how I can help you? Not, do you want me to go over the options how I can sell you? Feel the language difference and the energy difference? And then you would talk about the highest price ticket item first, If they say no, or what are their options, then you go down to the next one and the next one and the next one. You do not have to go over all the options if they've already said yes to the first one. People that I've worked with have literally killed income for themselves by doing that. But if you know in your heart of hearts that the one-on-one work is going to move things forward for them the most, and they can get out, and you've removed all the risk for that, done. We're cool there. Does that make sense? So critical for that. That's why you have to know what you're delivering. And you have to feel the heart of the delivery. Not, I got a monthly program, but I've got this thing that will move your life forward. Every month we're going to go over new topics that move things forward. Today, we talked about the vibrant life, 5 game changers. Now we're going into the ultimate, the almighty discovery call to really move business forward. You feel it? Like when I described that, it was energetic, enthused, I had clarity around it. These are all, by the way, ingredients to our high performance coaching. Just for those CHPCs out there trying to connect the dots, really, really critical. The specific behavioral changes you must practice. This is something we worked very deeply yesterday with, was that yesterday? Yes, yesterday with Karen and Lucas. And it's this language. If you're on stage, Karen's on stage a lot. If you're on a Facebook Live, if you're in front of people, the language is, hey, let's just go back to high performance coaching. If somebody said to me, yeah, I kind of want to go after that dream. So is that dream important to you or isn't it? This is the questions I'm asking. This is critical for you to pick up on, the dance here. No, it is important to me. Well, why is it important to you? Well, it's important to me because I really want to make an impact in this way. Well, why do you feel like the world needs that impact? Well, because if that impact's put into play, moms will have better relationships with their daughters. Why is it important for you to have moms having better relations with their daughters? Usually, not always, they'll share with you that their relationship with their mom is either in question or they want it was so good they want to duplicate it for others. Meaning there was a disconnect in their relationship and they want to help others not have that disconnect. Or their relationship was so good and they know it that they want others to have that too. Usually it's the first one, the disconnect, just so you have a frame. Okay, so why is it important for you? Okay. So what's the first steps you're taking right now to move this thing forward? Would it be helpful if I went over some ideas, this is the ambition language, to go after this? What's held you back? These are some of the questions that come up. What's held you back from going after this? This illicit struggle, challenge, frustration. What's your biggest challenge or struggle right now with moving this thing forward? Now that I know why it's important to you. Oh, it's this. Would you like some help? Want me to explain how you can kind of think about that? Give you some perspective, some illustration for that? Yeah, could you? Cool, okay. So I've helped a lot of people, that would be my language, go through this before. And the thing that I've recognized is they need extreme clarity and they need energy behind what they're going to offer. So do you have clarity around what you're offering? Well, I kind of do. But do you have heart into what you're offering to really help moms connect with their daughters? Well, I kind of do. Okay. Do you think it'd be helpful to get more depth, more articulate, more descriptive on those things to kind of develop maybe a process for people to go through to develop connection with that? Are you qualified? Are you certified in anything that you can bring into this? Or do you need to make this from scratch? Do you want help with that? You see where this goes? We're constantly asking the questions, but it all gets to the help with that. Not sell, help with that piece. Is this a helpful illustration? That's the essence of this. So my challenge for you as we think this through, and it's kind of covered in the action list, is to really define what you're offering and bring it to the Zoom roundtable or bring it into a check-in call, and we're going to get you heart-centered around your offers. So it's not like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to offer this or that. It's like, this is what I'm offering. I'm putting my stake in the ground, and that's what we're going after. And here's why it's important to me, and I can talk about it for 5 minutes of why this is going to help moms and daughters connect. Oh, and by the time I'm done, you're going to be like, sign me up. I'm not even a mom and I don't have a daughter. That kind of thing. That's clarity and energy. Ugh, so good. So that's the first part. You've got to define your offers and get heart behind them. Second, you've got to practice the moves and the questions. Write them out in the mirror, practice them. That's what I do. And you've got to ask the questions in the arc of the discovery call. It's modeling the application. Is that helpful? So you really got to practice that. The only way to really make that work that I've discovered, and this is why I feel like I failed in some ways, I feel regretful, is that we don't do enough of that role play. And we haven't done enough of that teaching. And that's why this call is all about that. Or I mean, this session is all about that discovery call. We've just got to articulate the order of this and then the piece of this. I would ask you this, but I already know your answer. You're welcome. You are leaving money on the table by not having this. The only way I can tell you that is because I've seen people get it and crush it or work to crush it. Sometimes it takes a while to get the bugs out of the system to kind of get out of the wonkiness of it. And then I was the person who was that too. And once you have this skill set and this order and you've practiced it and you're in those things like 3 to 5 a week, it's like a skill that builds. You get an unconscious competence with it. And now you can go into, like I do, into a restaurant, sit at a bar, like I've given the example a few sessions back. Sat down, they're like, what do? You seem to have good energy. I'm like, my job on this beautiful planet is to help you from where you're at to where you want to be. And I realize you may not be dreaming big enough because guess what? We get in the rhythm of life. We forget to dream about having fun and going after all the things that we want, like our bucket list, stuff like that. So my job is to really do that and help you. So you struggling with anything in life? That's the exact way I was. Next thing you know, literally within 5 minutes, we have the texts of her saying, can you give me your text? I got me and a couple others that want to work with you that are perfect candidates for what you do. Just met her and her husband. They're in their 60s. They're from Kentucky, in Naples, at Del Mar, at the bar as I was just about ready to check out. That's the essence of this. That's where it's coming from, heart, not intellect. Well, I could have said, hey, yeah, I'm a high performance coach. And I help business owners, entrepreneurs, and just people go after their dreams. Not the same. Very intellectual versus very emotive, connective, energized. Feel the difference? That's where I want to get you, if that's what you want. Comes back to the intimacy model. The beauty is when you get that proficiency and you extract that language can then be used on landing pages to create resonance, to create connection, to move things forward for people. You can have a video on there where you're just, I could get on a video right now and I'd be like, hey, if you want to move this stuff forward for you, I got the plan for you. Let's go. With that energy and that enthusiasm and that heart behind our mastery community. Is that helpful? So I just really want to make sure we do the dance. The last part I want to cover today is where I finally got masterful with this. The September 2013 event, it was in Chicago. I got the opportunity to present for 90 minutes to 90 benefit auctioneers from around the United States. And in that audience are people who are already used to being on stage, already used to being the center of attention. And my warning going into it was these people's attention is real small. You're going to have to do the dance to keep them from yawning and wanting to leave. And you'll see them leave. They're the kind of people that will leave. And the moment I got into it, here's how I started that. You're going to see a lot of what we covered here in the essence of this. Walk up, get the mic. On the screen it says Success, the Internet and You. It's got the ISU logo. It's got my face. It's easy. You can do it. And I looked up that, and I looked at them, and I said, it is an honor to be here with you all today. Thank you, Scott, for bringing me here. I just got done running this morning. I ran over the bridge in this part of Chicago and back. Gorgeous morning. Gorgeous fall morning. I missed my Michigan days. Before we get started, is there anything related to this topic that you have to have the answer for right now? And if you raise your hand and if you ask, all I say is if I'm going to cover it in today's work, I will punt it to that. And I'll tell you that. Otherwise, we'll answer it right now. I just want to make sure right out of the gate we're delivering for you. Who's got a question they need answered right now? 8 people raised their hand, picked down one, walked through it, delivered the value in advance. I said I'll go more deeply into the messaging for this in our work today, where I covered the persuasion formula and how you apply that into website copy and email copy and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, dang. So another one raised their hand. And then we really worked from there. That whole arc of that presentation, I had 2 workbooks. The Web Starter Kit workbook, the Total Internet Marketing workbook. And these workbooks represented the tactical page-by-page work that you can do and sit down with to go through everything I'm teaching you so you don't have to figure it all out. And I built the case for those books throughout that. Substitute the discovery call for the book if you're presenting. Instead of saying, I've got these books for you, if you want to move this forward and talk tactically about what I'm covering, for you, I'm going to give you an option later to have a discovery call with me. Substitute an online course. If you want to go faster in this thing, I've got a course. There's no way possible I can cover it all, but I walk you through step by step. How many of you are interested in a discovery call to move your dreams forward faster? Why, if one of you could share, why is it important for you to move those dreams forward faster now? What's holding you back? Would you like my help? I'd love to know, and I did do this once. It was scary because it was funky. It was new to me. I said, if I was to help you, why would you want my help? I said, what have I done here today that's demonstrated that I'm worthy of helping you? Please let me know. Anybody. And this girl, Eve, raised her hand. She goes, Char, holy crap, you're one of the best speakers I've ever seen. Your interaction, your knowledge, all this stuff is so good. I would love for you to guide me through this. That opened the gateway for social credibility with the group. She also tweeted that. I have a copy of the tweet. Maybe in post, I'll put the tweet up right here for you. One of the best speakers I've ever seen. And she happened to be in one of the original episodes of Survivor, I believe. And she was like kind of the star of the room, so to speak. And she spoke up like that. And I was like, well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. My job on this plan is to really help you move things forward. I love working with people. I love working with technology. To blend that together to create true synergy, to move things forward for you, we're on it. Everything I'm sharing with you in this illustration is about clarity, energy, focus. So I would just challenge you as you think through my illustration, clarity, energy, and focus. I wasn't standing up there going, hey, so these workbooks will help you kind of get through this. I'm like, on page 17, you're going to learn that. So I took workbooks. I had three. I had four. I had the workbook, the Web Starter Kit workbook, the Total Marketing Blueprint separate, and then I had one in a bundle, them together. And I said to them, 2/3 of the way through the program, I said, the bundle here sells for, I think it was $397. The Total Internet Marketing workbook sells for $397, and the Web Starter Kit sells for $297. Do you see where I'm going with this? So if you bought both of them, you got it for the price of the Total Marketing workbook. So it was more advantageous to get a $400 workbook series than it was to buy them or one of them. You feel this vibe? So if you're thinking about the Web Starter Kit workbook, you could save $100 and just get that, but you're missing out on the continuity part of all the rhythms of what I was covering. At the very end, I said, and I told them this at the beginning, I said, I'm going to raffle. 3 of you are going to walk out of here with workbooks today. And I had a fishbowl with me, and I said, if you have your card, I want you to put a yes, a Y, or a no as to whether I can add you to my email list. But if you put your card in a fishbowl, we're going to draw the raffle right now. And the first one we're going to draw is the Web Starter Kit for $297. Second one we're going to draw is the Total Marketing Blueprint workbook for $397. And the third grand prize winner gets both of them for that. Everybody in the room wanted that workbook because it was the catalyst for them moving things forward about everything we trained. It gave them the difference, the nuance of that. If you're thinking about delivering exceptional value, there's a lot of lessons in here. If you're drawing a blank where you're like, my stuff isn't that valuable, then we just need to sit down and frame out your deliverables. We need to think exceptionally through them. Does that make sense? The moment I got done, I told them, I said, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to my room. I'm going to put all the ones that said yes, I'm going to put all of your cards, your names, all the information on your cards, I'm going to put it into an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to put it in my email manager. I will follow up with you on what we covered today. I'll give you a little bit of some videos at the time that I had that were related. And then I'm also going to give you the option to get the workbooks. And I did I totally forgot to tell Karen and Lucas this yesterday, but I actually included a $100 discount if you bought them. That was on I want to say that was on like a Friday. By the end of the next Sunday, you got a $100 discount, and they did a lockdown for it. Sold 20 of those workbooks at, I think it was $297 because I gave them the $100 discount. 20 times 300 is what, 6K? They paid me to be at the event, and they gave me out the permission to sell something post-event and deliver value in the event. That's the arc. What I hope you gathered from that, if it's not the workbook, then it's maybe a call with you. If it's not a call with you, maybe it's a course. But the essence, the dance of everything we're covering today is the energy and the clarity around how it's going to help them. It's not necessarily the tactics. I didn't go too deep on the tactics in the workbook. I just told them that's what's going to move the needle forward, and here's the mindset, the perspective, the illustrations for why that's important, much like I'm doing with you today. We have talked a lot of tactics through the flow state. So that all said, adult learning theory says I need to recap. The very tip top of this whole thing is the presumption is we're in an intimacy model, and we're having a flow state where we're generating some form of awareness that sparks need and interest. enough that overcomes their sort of ability, if you will, to not put their email address in or to not contact you. They're like, no, I really need this. And that overcomes them from, well, I don't need it that bad, to not put their information in, to not fill out the application. Cool? From the application, we're very critical. This wasn't filled out well enough. I need more information on part 4, where you're talking about why me. Why you think you need my help. Because if you don't need my help, there's other people that can help you. And maybe with what they've shared, here's a training that will help you understand how I think I can help you, if you have that. Some of us would be making the training and say, hey, I saw that you had this need. I filmed a quick 10-minute video for you helping through that. Put that on YouTube. Here's the link for it. Like, that's what I've done in the past. Like, that demonstrates if you're in that flow of growing business and you need the cash, you're doing whatever it takes. That's my story. Once they're approved, summation, here's the dream you said you're going after. Here's the struggle that we've talked through that we're going to work on together first. Here's what that looks like when that struggle's overcome. And here's training that will help you start down that path. Starting from scratch is a great one. My starting from scratch work. And then here is 3 times next week or the week after that are available for you. Just let me know what that looks like and we'll do that. And of course, that scheduling part can be sent off to Acuity or Calendly, some other schedule. I don't do that. Personally, I just don't like that. Because I don't like people to see the amount of availability I have and those kind of things. But I hope that helps through that lens. In the discovery call, we're recapping the process of the application. And we're really diving deep on the whys. You probably noticed. It's the whys or the gateway to the sales conversion. Or the help conversion, as we call it. That all said, this ends the training part. I realize we got a lot of work to do. We're going to dive deep in our Zoom roundtable. Maybe today or in the future, whatever it is for you. If you need a check-in, we'll nail that for you. First of all, action list, define your offers. You've got to define your offers. That comes from the deliverable. If you've got certification in Brendan's CHPC, that's 48 sessions. If you got all 48, your offer is Certified High Performance Coaching on a monthly basis. We just start with session 1, focus, and we move from there. Deeply and vibrantly connect with each. Sensory for you and them. Go back to our vibrancy training earlier. Get into the sensory. Watch Lana Del Rey's video just to get sensory top of mind. Just to get articulate about senses. The deeper you get articulate about the senses, you'll feel it. You'll connect with it. It'll be vibrant, energetic. You feel it? I love how these trainings work together too, by the way, today. 3rd, define your flow. Start with I. Start with the intimacy model. Define your flow. This is a flow that works. This sells. 4, role play and battle test the dance. The flow. Let's get on a check-in. Work that back and forth. I'll help you figure out some things. We'll put it to the test. Get a few people in the thing. You should have numbers. I'm going to do, my goal for by the end of March is to have 3 to 5 discovery calls a week and to convert 1. If you have 5 calls and you convert 1, that's a 20% conversion. If I did the math right. That's amazing. Helpful? And of course, number 5, co-create. We've got to co-create with our audience. What would be helpful for you in terms of moving this thing forward? Comes back to that one question. What do you need? What would be helpful for you? And maybe you don't have training for that, or maybe you don't have that. That's Karen and I talked about this yesterday. That is a model for you to create that training. Would it be helpful if I made that training? If you're in a room with others? Would it be helpful if I made a training on this? Okay, I'll make that training. If you're interested in it, go ahead and give me your card, put a Y on it. If it's okay for me to add you to my email list, and then I'll send you out when that training's up. We'll start module 1. Let's see. Maybe next Monday I'll film module 1, and maybe we'll do that where I film it live, and you can be involved and give me feedback on it, and I'll refilm it if it needs more input. Like, that's what I would do. Helpful? Critical part. And the bonus piece, as you're building this, take the information you're gathering. This is Brendan trick. He showed me this on his laptop. Grab the language. That becomes the sales page for Mass Model. And then maybe put a page together on that. It's just start sending ads to that, just to see, or revenue, build ads for it, and send people to it, and just to see what you get. And maybe that Mass Model's page is simply to get a discovery call, and you lock in application first, and then the discovery call. That could be something for you. I hope this has done some justice for you. I hope we've dove deeper on the process for you. This is all top of mind for me as we go to scale, and I'm looking forward to it. So I just really want to make sure we're landing the ship for you and really living into the promise today. The Almighty Discoverer Call, Sales Mastery. If you have any questions, let me know. Please know it's an honor being on the journey with you, helping you from where you're at to where you want to be. That's my life goal, my life purpose. I will see you in a moment. I'm sending you positive, loving, healthy energy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. We rocked it. Yeah.